Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Right now I'm working in the backyard on a garden and it's a beautiful day to do so. It's only going to be 99 degrees today instead of the typical 100 degrees that we have over the foreseeable forecast. And it was a relatively wet season this past spring, summer, I guess. And we're now entering the midst of summer, like full-on summer, 100-degree days. And the first thing I'm going to be doing today is the weeding, I guess. And so you can see a lot of vegetation going on in the bed behind me. The vegetation is all also mixed up with different kinds of vines, some of which we did not plant. And so I'm taking those vines out. They're easily removed, and so that's step one.
Has anyone else out there noticed the wildlife and or people that seem to be behaving in very unusual ways as of late? By the time I finished pulling all the weeds out of this raised bed, this bug was still circling the top of this surface over and over, trying to find a way out. Not really sure what it was trying to do, but it was doing it for quite some time. I even decided to relocate it to see what would happen after I relocated the bug. After being relocated, this bug continued to scour the surface of this new island that it was introduced to.
So it's about noon, and I've been outside for about 3 hours, and I've had a couple of heart irregularities that I think are heat related, but as I've mentioned in prior videos, I've been feeling kind of almost somewhat cursed and blessed. By cursed, what I mean is there are things that happen that seem very unusual. Like, for an example, if you've ever watched the show called Supernatural, you'll recognize that in that show they take on some things that pretty much amount to all the teachings of what was in, for an example, the Bible. And when the other day when we were cleaning the inside of the house to apply privacy film on both the front and the back windows, we found an area where it looked like there were pentagrams on the window, but you couldn't see them until you sprayed the window spray on them. Take a look for yourself.
I'd like to add that we occasionally put holy water in with the cleaning supplies so that when we spray them to surfaces, we're essentially blessing the whole area. And I'd also like to point out that although there was a pentagram in the center of this circle, you were unable to see it no matter which direction I recorded the scene from. That had to do with lighting and other circumstances beyond this phone's recording capabilities. Either way, if you're watching this video, you know that I'm very fond of nature and wildlife, and that's why I'm probably presenting a video that has something to do with that. And at the same time, I have very strong insights from experience that it appears that all in the world is not as it appears.
You can see a lot of vegetation going on in the bed behind me.
And now take a look at that same bed, which has a lot less vegetation. All of this was hand plucked to make sure that I didn't intrude on the plants that I wanted to stay in this raised bed. So that was step one, clearing that raised bed and actually a lot of other areas as well. I cut a lot of limbs and basically filled up another green bin. I was talking with someone about that not long ago, and they asked me what size bin it was that I filled up. I believe I took a picture, so if I did, here it is. If I don't have that picture anymore, I apologize, but it's basically the standard green bin that you put vegetation in this cityscape that I live in the world. So in my part of the world, every week we have green bin collection, but also this upcoming Monday happens to be brush collection. So I can prune every tree that I've got here and have the brush accumulated in the front or on the side of the house, on the curb, so that the vehicles that come by can take that extra brush and process it however they process it. Generally, if you look closely in my garden beds, you'll see limbs from prior prunings. In this portion of the video, you can see at least one limb from a prior pruning, but what you don't see is the habitat that this creates, not only for plants, but also for animals, not to mention the nutrients from the decomposition of this limb. And oftentimes I do that because vegetation is rich. It's rich in nutrients. And with all of that in mind, I have been talking recently about fasting in order to regain health and supernatural happenings, and showing some of the things that have happened in ways that, well, it's debatable. A believer can see the true things that you're going through. You can see them. You can follow your own insight. You can follow that voice, which oftentimes is not your voice, so to speak. It's following the path of enlightenment. It's not really following your voice, because you're being quiet when you're on a spiritual quest, right? You're being quiet. Your mind might have a lot of questions, but you yourself are being quiet. And because you're being quiet, you're able to observe the bird that chirped right when you were talking about such and such, or the thump that happened right when you were talking about such and such. And you're able to voice out, hey, it's a sign. And if you're on a positive mindset, it's always a positive sign. If you heard that noise, then you can understand. Again, I might crank the audio in those segments so that you can either hear it or not hear it. But the point is that you're either aware that there are positive things happening, or you're unaware. And when you're unaware, sometimes the overall daily grind can be very challenging. So step one for me was to clear the raised garden bed, and also clear a path. That way I'd be able to easily mow again this week. And when I say it like that, what I mean is that basically it's been challenging to mow with all of the limbs that are growing from all of these different things in the yard. And by challenging, I mean it's something that has to be maintained regularly. And so I could either hire a crew to do it or do it myself. And with the amount of vegetation that I've got going on, and a lot of these plants having been hand raised. Here I'm showing an example of some of those hand raised plants that I was just talking about. I really would like to tend to these things myself. So step two is going to be to edge, to continue basically plucking around the low areas of some of these newly planted plants. And then after that, I'll be edging, and then after that, I'll be mowing. But basically, the fact is there are steps that need to happen. And in the case of a supernatural circumstance, if you're tuning in because maybe that's what you were interested in, the first steps are to try and find out, where has perceivable dark magic been bound to the place that you're living. Can this be happening to you? A blessed water solution might reveal the truth. And in my instance, basically this window, this front and foremost window, had a pentagram in it, and so did the back window as well. And that's the one that you were seeing in the video clip where you were unable to see it. This is the after effect, basically where a holy water was applied. A holy water solution was applied while cleaning and prepping the windows for these installations. This privacy film is really fun for us. There are a lot of rainbows that are thrown with these films.
So it's really interesting to walk into a room and have just, have these rainbows all over the place, have this color. It's like walking out into the garden and seeing all the flowers, all the different variations of color. I'll probably be showing that to you right now.
I didn't really have an objective when it came to this video. However, I do hope that it's inspired you to take up tending to your own garden as well, and noticing the details that many people would otherwise overlook if it weren't their own garden to begin with. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.